What is up, guys? It is Plug Ugly. Don't know how well you can see it, but it is raining out. I stopped by the flea market close to where I live, and there's about 2 vendors set up. They aren't actually even set up, they're just parked there, hoping for a break in the weather. I wasn't going to go to the other flea market because it's about a 40-minute drive, but looks like I'm making a 40-minute drive to get washed out. Yay. We'll see if anything happens. So, guys, despite what I said in that initial intro, I hung around, waited for the weather to clear out, and sure enough, all the vendors, they came out to play. While there was only about 5 or 6 of them in total in the exterior of the flea market, I did manage to find one individual who did actually have some game stuff. It's not this guy. I had to kill some time while everyone was unpacking. Few cool things at this booth, but nothing really worth picking up on my end. Now in this video, you're going to see actually quite a few things. I find some stuff at the flea markets, I check out a couple local game stores, and I even make a pretty sweet Craigslist pickup. Overall, it was quite the eventful weekend, and I was able to add some very cool things to my collection. Another thing worth mentioning, I'm still forced to use my cell phone for video at this time. I'm looking around at different camera options, but for now, I'm sorry, we just got to deal with it. For some people that might mean it's going to be a smaller viewing screen on YouTube, maybe a little shakiness, sometimes voiceovers, because my cell phone camera surprisingly picks up a lot of audio and background noise. But, hey guys, we all got to start somewhere, and we will make it through this. Anyways, enjoy. Hey, excuse me, boss. Do you mind if I poke through this while you're...
Yep, you can.
Thank you. Do you have any other video game stuff today?
Nothing like vintage.
Okay.
Just like Wii and...
Well, is this like a bundle you're selling or separate?
I would sell it as a bundle, $20.
$20 for everything?
Yeah.
So you got a couple controllers, some zappers, 64 power thing, a lot of RS switches. If I was a jerk and said 10, would you want to meet at 15?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Because then the sun can come out later on in the day.
So this gentleman is a established video game and electronics dealer on the inside of the flea market. Pretty nice guy. I've done business with him several times in the past. And here we have a Sega Game Gear bundle. This bundle had the Sega Game Gear carrying case, the plug-in charger for it, the Game Gear itself, and 4 games. Only 2 of the games I had any real interest in. Now, this gentleman has had this case for a few weeks. I've asked about it before, and he stated that he wasn't really looking to sell it because he has not actually done any research on it, which is totally understandable. But if an item sits there for several weeks, and if the vendor has said that they haven't done any research on it, that's stuff I really like to hear, simply because maybe you can get a pretty decent deal. Now, I was just checking out, seeing if anything had been parted out for it or added to it, and I wanted to take the opportunity to look around, see if anything else had been moved. That Genesis in the bag was brand new this week, but nothing I needed. Sometimes he gets new loose cartridges, so I always gotta check those shelves out. Sometimes a cool oddball controller. I've searched out this pile of N64 games in the past, got several when I first started collecting, but I believe it's all been the same games for about a year now, which, that happens. He's got a lot of assorted stuff just piled around, which is usually a good thing, but you gotta dig for it, because the old stuff can sometimes outshine the new stuff and make it look hidden. I did manage to spot this little gem, a Game Boy Super Mario Land 2 box. I had to reach over and kind of pull it out of the thickets. I even managed to knock something over in the process, but vendor was very cool about it. He was understanding, and I was able to add that to the maybe pile. Not too bad.
Well, yeah.
I guess curiosity, I found this box, a little beat, but I got the game. It's a game I used to play when I was younger. And you still got the Game Gear thing that's been there, so I was wondering prices if you had on them.
Cost $2.
$2? I'll definitely do that. And the Game Gear thing, I have literally everything in here but a couple games, but I don't want to strip games, and it hasn't moved since last time, so I was figuring maybe this time you want to
Haven't
move
even,
it.
you know, I've had a couple of people ask.
Yep.
You know, you ask, that's different.
Yep.
A couple of people ask, I don't even want to be bothered because they're asking about this, that,
I got you.
everything. You want it as is, or you want to strip the games out?
I guess I'll listen to either price. I mean, I don't want to. It's 2 out of the 4 games. I believe there's 4 games.
4 games in there.
Yeah, and I'll be taking 2 of them out.
$60 as is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you take the 2 games out, 50. You know, 2 games you don't want.
Yep. Now, right here, when he told me the price for the entire bundle, I pretty much lost interest in trying to negotiate. As a vendor with having everything Sega Game Gear brand, probably not the worst price ever, especially if it's something you're actively searching out. But I already have the entire bundle and then some already. I really just want to add a couple games, maybe sell off the rest, hope to recoup my money. So at that point, I was just trying to be polite, and I was just going to buy the box loose. And sometimes this happens when you lose interest. The vendor will decide, hey, maybe I was a little too far out there, and they'll actually ask you to throw an offer out or try and renegotiate. It wasn't something I was trying to do, but it ended up happening. I was able to actually sneak away a couple things from the bundle that I wanted. So that was good. And like I said, I'm sure you'll be able to get that from someone who doesn't have it. I appreciate you pricing it for me, man.
What do you want to pay for? Put it on there.
Yep. Would you be willing for me to pick out the 2 games for $10?
Yeah, do that.
Okay, thank you. And I got the $2 here, so I'll pull those games out and appreciate it, man. The unicorn found in the wild. All games $3. Dun dun dun. How much is the Zelda and the Kirby?
I don't know. Just make offer. I'll probably take it.
What is up, guys? It is Plug Ugly and it is raining out. In addition to our Flea Market Adventures, every now and then I'm going to check out a couple local game stores. So today, Game Exchange. Let's see if we can find anything good. So for those of you not aware, Game Exchange is a corporate chain game store. They have locations all throughout the US. My state has several of them. This particular one I had never been to before. I follow them on Instagram, and I've seen they've gotten a lot of cool stuff in lately. So I walk in, right away go for the N64 case, and bam, seems like every roll I'm pulling off a game that I need, which is awesome, and they're all less than $10. Less than $10 in a retail store. If I need the game, I'm gonna grab it. And in addition to all the awesome N64 stuff they had, they just had gobs of everything on every system you could imagine. So I was very happy, and the people there were extremely nice, very helpful. They didn't mind me filming for the channel, which is always cool. We actually had a very nice conversation about it. So I was just happy from the moment I walked in. And even though it's kind of a haul for me, I definitely plan on going back every once in a while, simply because just look at it, guys. I'm just pulling so much off for my collection. It was insane. Very, very happy. And again, I'm sorry for the commentary over this, but a lot of very private conversations were happening in the background, and I'm not just going to share that all on the internet when the people don't know about it. So what is up, guys? So this was my first time at this particular Game Exchange, and I was impressed. They have a very nice selection in. They're getting a lot of awesome trades in. I've been seeing it on their Instagram, which is why I decided to check it out. It's quite the drive for me, but it was well worth it. Now, I picked up 10 N64 games I needed for the collection. They had a couple other ones I needed, higher end ones, but the condition wasn't there. And I kind of have a rule: if I'm going to be buying in a retail shop, less than $10, I'll just buy it if I need it. At this point, it's getting really hard to find the stuff. Any higher than that, I really got to look at condition and just playability. Because $35 for a sports game, I better be a fan of it. But anyway, let's check out what I got. Bottom of the ninth, and I apologize for the mirror image. I'm doing front-facing camera. Still don't have that GoPro yet. FIFA 98. NHL Breakaway 99. FIFA Soccer 64. California Speed. Out of this pile of games, that's probably the only one I'll actually play. Elmo's Letter Adventure. Rally Challenge 2000. A game I've seen several times actually, but I always forget I don't have it. Why? I have no idea. I just always forget I don't have it. In the Zone 2000. World Cup 98. And last but not least, Olympic Hockey 98. Now guys, I don't know what it's like for you all out there, but with the exception of the Rally Challenge 2000, these are games I just do not see. I don't know why. Most of these are pretty common games, but they've just eluded me. But I think I was at 47 games now, just knocked off 10. I'm getting close to complete N64. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. So here I am at another game exchange. This one happens to be my local game exchange, the one I frequent quite regularly. I walked in and right away, another game for the 64 collection checked off the list. And as always, I like to check out whatever's in the case. Sometimes they got something new, exciting, fun, what have you. Today they happen to get a ton, and I mean a ton of NES games in. I love the NES, but of the three systems, NES, SNES, and N64, it's the one I play the least. But ooh, it's still nice to see some heavy hitters like that Metal Storm. Overall, very great trip, never disappoints. Check it out, guys. Boxed Super Famicom. When I get home, I'll show you everything. What is up, guys? It is Plug Ugly, and I am back with pickups from another Flea Market Adventure weekend. This weekend was awesome. I got to go to 2 game exchanges. I got to go to a flea market, which surprisingly enough, the bad weather didn't ruin the day. And I even got to do a really awesome Craigslist pickup. I mean, guys, this was a really good weekend. I found a bunch of stuff I wanted. I found it for great prices, and just not every weekend can be like this. So I was pumped. As you guys already saw in the end of the Brantford game exchange video, I found 10 N64 games I needed for my collection, which is huge. Brought me down to 37 cartridges needed for a complete N64. I am this close, guys. It is awesome. I'm not going to go over those games because you already saw that earlier. This morning, I did manage to go to the flea market, and as you saw, there's a gentleman there with a box top full of vintage accessories. So for 15 bucks, I was able to pick up 2 zappers, 3 AC adapters, the power supply for an N64, 3 audio-visual cables, Nintendo brand, and a couple of RF adapters for the NES. All that stuff was 15 bucks, guys. I mean, that's awesome. If you go to a retail store, they're going to probably charge you, $5 to $7 for any one of those given items. So it's not all stuff I need to use right now, but it's awesome to keep in a storage bin. And if I find an N64, Super Nintendo, what have you, I can save some money if it doesn't have everything there. I can knock them down in the negotiations, and I already got the stuff. So I was very thrilled to do that deal. The same gentleman, when I went out later on in the day, he had 2 games hanging out. He had Kirby's Dream Land and Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the SP. I feel like an idiot because my fat thumb double-clicked the record button when I was in the middle of negotiating. He had said, hey, make me an offer, I'll probably accept it. And so I said, well, would you take $1 for each of them? And for a second he hesitated, but he said, yeah, why not? So the Kirby has some discoloration, some water damage on it. I saw that, I knew about that. Kind of works, not quite. I'm going to have to put some Brasso on the pins and see if maybe that works. I haven't tested the Zelda yet, but I already have both of these games, but for $1 each, I figured it'll be great for store credit. Trade them in at the local game store. I'm only gonna get a few bucks for them, but you know what? I'll probably get more than I have in them, and maybe that'll help get me that much closer to a complete N64, or at least eat the tax on something. So that was all right. There was another gentleman on the inside who had a bunch of stuff that I wanted. The first thing being the box for this Super Mario game on the Game Boy. This is a game I already have. I don't have the box, and as you can see, it's got some tearing. It's a little crushed. It does, however, have the manual, which is awesome. And for $2, you know, I can bend it back into shape. I can buy a reproduction tray online for $1 or something, and I'm happy with that. You know, that'll look great on the shelf. The same gentleman had a nice Game Gear package, and the Game Gear case you see over my right shoulder, that is not the Game Gear that he had. I already had an entire Game Gear package, I guess you could say. I have the carrying case, I have several of the accessories, and mine is very clean, very nice. I figured maybe I could do a big package deal, flip part of it, but we couldn't come to an agreement on the price. But he did, however, let me pick out a couple of the games from his bundle that I didn't have. So I was able to pick out Double Dragon and Shinobi 2. Two games I honestly don't know anything about. I just know I don't have them, and they're not the typical games you see. You don't see one of like 20 Sonic games that are on the Game Gear. So it was different. It was cheap. I figured, why not? So I was happy to have that. And after I left the flea market, I decided to stop by my local game exchange. And when walking through, they had a bunch of new NES stuff in stock. They usually have a pretty decent selection, but their case was absolutely exploding today, which was cool. But the thing I was excited to see, Wetrix. This game, while I don't know anything about, was one of the 37 games I still needed. I honed right in on it, and now, guys, I am down to 36 N64 games. Wow. I mean, I've gone weeks without finding a game I don't have, and in the last 2 days, I've knocked off 11 games. That is sweet. So I'm excited. I'm just getting that much closer. And during the day, I was doing my normal daily activities. I decided, let's check out Craigslist. And sure enough, I did find a few things. One thing that piqued my interest was a gentleman the next state over who had Super Famicom. Now, if you recall in one of my earlier videos, I stated I want to modify an N64 so it can play Japanese import games. Now, that's pretty easy. You just got to take a Dremel and cut off a couple pieces of plastic. But something I wasn't expecting was the Super Famicom. I always thought it'd be neat to own one, but I didn't think I would ever find one. I live on the East Coast, and things don't really get shipped in here like in California. You can find those things at yard sales pretty frequently. But the gentleman had a complete in-box Famicom, and this thing is nice. He was asking very fair money for it. I asked him to knock a few dollars off because I was going to be driving a little bit, so he did. And so for 75 bucks, which I have no idea what these things are even worth, I don't particularly care. I saw it, I was very excited for it, and the condition is amazing. So for 75 bucks, I got myself a Super Famicom. Now let's open this up real quick. So this, guys, is extremely clean. He's got the power supply, he's got the two extremely clean controllers. He tested it, he said it works out. The console is very minty. And we even have the manual. I mean, I honestly did not expect to find this. It's something I didn't even really ever look for, but now that I have it, I'm pumped, guys. I don't know Japanese. I know there's the vast majority of the library I'm just not going to be able to play, but that's okay. There are some awesome shooters out there and some very simple games you don't need to know Japanese in order to be able to play. And a lot of them are exclusively on the Japanese system. Now, included was Star Fox. Star Fox is one of those games where, for the most part, you don't really need to know the language. You just got to be able to maneuver through the menus. So I am really excited for that. And he even had the AV cables in the authentic box. So I have no idea what this stuff is actually worth. I didn't research it, but when we were negotiating 75 bucks, I was okay with it. And that's the big thing. I've mentioned before that I'm selling off a lot of the stuff I'm never going to play. because I'm, with the exception of the N64, I'm done trying to be a completionist and have one of everything. I want my game collection to be stuff I'm gonna play. I want to be able to randomly just put my arm behind me, pick a game off a shelf, put it in the console, and go, all right, this is fun, this is fine. So now that I have that mindset again, where the playing the games is the best part about collecting them, you know, it's about how they make you feel versus what they're monetarily worth. So at $75, just the fact that I'm still geeking out on it says it was a good deal to me. So I'm really excited, guys. I got to get an adapter so I can plug this in and actually play it, because I believe the outlets aren't compatible. But I'll do some research on it. If that's the case, pretty soon you guys might be able to see some Super Famicom games on my channel. So this has been a sweet weekend. I am still smiling like a dork. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you on the next weekend, alright? Have a good one.